This is one of the rare days where I have a subject to talk about. So, a lot of people are dreaming of quitting their job, starting a business, starting to freelance, which freelancing is still a business, but the difference is that you provide the service. Jumping from freelancing to a business, it's a bit easier sometimes because all you need to do is hire someone to replace you, but that's another can of worms because most people, when they're jumping from being employed to freelancing, they don't understand. They want to make the same amount of money, but that's not how you get a business. The goal is to find a way to ask for much more money. Because if you look at revenue per employee at corporations, I don't know, let's say Apple, or not, let's not take Apple, let's take Adobe. I think Adobe has about $650,000 revenue per employee, if I'm correct, or 680, something around there. And they don't pay all employees more than $100,000 a year. So that's six times they get for each employee. Some companies have a 3x, some companies have a 10x, some company have a 12x or 20x on employee. So you have to think as a minimum that 3x is quite the benchmark. Like, you cannot get just a percentage off of what they do. You have to have a multiple. And that's the point. It's very, very hard to do those kinds of things. You might think like, you don't have 100,000. How can you pay someone 100,000? And I don't have the answer for that. I haven't found a big solution for this problem. What I found solution is that you can sometimes pay people to do a lot of work in a short period of time, and that combined effort is that whole project is worth more than three times you pay them. So that's a way to do it. Pay them by the project and make sure that you get three times the pay for that thing. And the goal really is to get paid more. Like, if you can, if you, because if you don't get paid three times the amount that your employee is being paid, you don't have a business. You have a marginal business, a fraction of a business. So yeah, that's a way to think about it, because we tend to think that 50% or 30% profit is good. Yeah, it's good, but you have to take into account that it's not only employees that you have to worry about. Like, companies, to achieve a 30, 40, 50% profit margin, they don't only spend on employees. They have a 3x, so they spend one third on employee, 33% at least, uh, a three-time revenue per employee. So that's a benchmark that you should look at. So yeah. And sometimes you can, I've actually consulted a business, and I told him, he was using a lot of freelancers, and I told him like, look, if you hire someone for this amount, you've basically cut their payment in half. And he said like, no one's going to accept that. And I'm like, yes, they will, because you are offering steady income with no hassle, always work, no need to go back and forth with clients on emails. You just get a constant stream of income and work that you don't have to worry about, and you can do things on top, or they can just choose to do more hours for us at the same rate. So by offering a bit of stability, you've uh, lowered the price of that freelancer in half. So that's good. And plus you've secured some exact, and but people who start an agency like this, an agency is another model that you can profit off of. But it's difficult. Like, it's the first step. The hardest thing to do is to find someone who can do, and you can't even fathom having to ask for something that's triple what you pay someone. Like, let's say if you pay them $20, you get $60 in return without you being there. Because if you're there, then you're not getting $60, you're getting $40, because you have to pay someone $20 and you get $40. That's two people. So yeah, it's difficult to understand, but the way to do it is by freelancing at first, and doing, on top of your job, doing a few freelancing gigs until you can kind of do weekends as well and test it out to see if you can manage to land enough clients in order to get, you can even test it out to get another employee during the week, so you can become a bit of a manager for that employee, because you have a job, so you have a salary, so you can pay someone, so that you test if there is demand for your work. And don't believe you can't find people that are cheaper than you. You can always find people cheaper than you. So you would be amazed at the quality of work that people would put in just to, yeah, just to make nice income in a different country. So thankfully we are living in a internet age where you can find people a lot cheaper than you. And those people are looking for stable income. So that's the point. You need some, you need to find a way to constantly get clients, or have a big client or two or three big clients that pay you monthly, and ask a lot of money. I think that's, for me, that was the always the hardest part. Asking for a lot of money was always the hardest part. A lot of problems in business are solved by asking for more money. Like, that's super, super easy. If you have a lot of money, you can do a lot of things. Like, learning how to ask for a lot of money is awesome. I can't do it all the time. I was able to do it once, twice, three times, a few times, and those times were great. Those times were nice. I had money to start other businesses. I had money to hire people to do things that I didn't want to do. So, yeah. Another way to think about employees is have them build something that you can profit off of even when they don't work for you. So, that kind of limits you to what you can give them. But if you do that, you unlock another stream of income, something that I've understood this when I was very, very young, when I had my first three employees. If I hire someone to do something for me that will last more than I employ them, then I have earned quite a bit of money off of that person. And that's how you twist the equation around to be able to earn a six times multiple on the salary because you now have time work that this person has done for like 3, 4, 5 months last you years, and the only way you can probably do that is by having either building something that you can profit off of, such as a building, or something that you can rent out, having them build something that you can rent out, having them make something that you can rent out, or you can have digital products, have them work on digital products that can sell indefinitely. Like, I think that's digital products, if you can find a way to sell, they can, even if they sell at a low price, I don't know, $1.50, you can make a lot of money just because you don't have any cost, any other cost, and you can have a lot of employment, a lot of employees working, because when they're not going to work for you anymore, you're still going to get paid for their work because those products will still sell. Hopefully, sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. So that's the point. Try to find ways to profit off of the work that someone did for a long, long, long time. And yeah, it's kind of difficult to think. I was thinking that I was good at business, but then I started learning about real business, big business. And I was learning about all these metrics that they have, like revenue per employee. And then I was like, oh my God, like 10 times multiples. I'm like, wow. It's like crazy how big it is, because these people are paying our top employers. Like, their average salary is quite high. So I was like, okay, small potatoes. And then I started to think about it. How can you get there? Like, that's the point. How can you get there to have to earn a 10x multiple? And you can also think of it as equipment. An employee can really be, um, let's say, you can really enhance their capabilities by having equipment for them. You can enhance their way of doing things, their productivity by having equipment for them. So that's I don't know, anything that is that can enhance their productivity is something that can really make you a lot of money. Like big industry things. That's a way to have like a factory, because the factory, even though the price of a product is very very cheap, maybe usually they can make a lot of money by just having a lot of equipment that can lower the price of the products even more, because they are so productive that the price is so cheap that the cost of everything is super super cheap. So yeah, but it usually takes a lot of investment to get equipment, and most equipment is not getting people more productive, because there is a difference between equipment that enhances productivity and equipment that is needed. As in, to be a filmmaker, I need a camera. That doesn't really enhance my productivity. In terms of a factory way, is like, does a secondary camera make a difference? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but usually yes. And people don't understand that. Whenever they buy cameras, they buy the biggest most interesting camera, instead of having two cameras and having two angles. Even if you don't use it for 100% of the time, you use it for 10% of the time. For those 10% of the times, that camera should stay only on a tripod, and you just move it around sometimes. And that's the point. You have a camera on your tripod for 10% of the time, you've become 10% more efficient with 1% more effort, because you just have to move that tripod around. That's all you have to do. And that's a way to become more efficient. But a camera, a microphone, something like that, it doesn't really produce the same amount of productivity, the same amount of efficiency as a machine that does a task, because it is not a the camera, it's not the same. It's a tool rather than equipment in that gets a product. You get a product, but you have to put in a lot more effort. Without you, it's very difficult to have that product produce a lot of things. And usually, to be able to get something out of a camera, you need a lot of experience. But with factory equipment, the point is that anyone can work on that machine. Not everyone can repair it, for instance, but everyone can work on it. So you have to think about it, about equipment in that way, because if you think of a microphone in terms of equipment that is something that you can basically get more productivity out of, you won't. Most things that we buy do not get us more productive. Like for instance, a computer can be something that you get more productivity out of if you understand how systems and factories work. Then you can use your laptop and your computer as a machine rather than a tool. I think that's a good distinction to make: tools and machines. And that's the distinction goes a bit like this. I haven't thought about it, but it's a very I like to think about specific words and make a very clear distinctions in between them so that my mind understands, okay, this is a tool and this is a machine. This is the tool is something that you use in order to work on something else. A machine is something that has it's quite large usually, and it takes something and with very little input for from a human, gets something of more value out of it. So you can think about it as like a like for instance a video editing software. You can really complicate things and make a lot of that's why computers are very amazing. They are amazing. You can think of video editing software like this. You take the whole thing, you add a little bit of a cut, and then you get another better product. So it's a compiler in a sort of way. So yeah, I think a compiler is something like a nice machine. But yeah, it's a good way to think about it. A tool is something that you work on something else with. You're like making changes on that thing, but you cannot process the whole thing and get something better. You just add a little bit to it, or yeah, create something. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to think about it, and I don't have the words and the capacities to do it right now, but I will soon, and I will someday explain this. And just like that, it's night. I had 2 beers. Sophie had a few sticks, meaning she ate some sticks off the ground. She broke them, and I am going to edit and go to bed and watch some social media. I'm gonna watch some YouTube after I edit and I post and I publish the videos that I have to publish today. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow.